Hey, what's up, AfterBuzzers? We are here at the Terror Infamy Aftershow, Season 2, Episode 5, Shatter Like a Pearl. Got a lot to discuss. A possessed translator, Chester finds a new friend, Luce deals with her PTSD, and a lot going on with Ken and Amy. A lot to talk about. Stay tuned.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hey!
Oh my God!
It's very dramatic.
Yes, I love it. That was amazing. It brought us in right.
I never felt that strong before. Okay.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Terror Infamy After Show. I'm your boy, Daniel Royce, and I'm joined by some amazing people here on the panel. We'll start down at the far left there. You've seen him on The Dark, speaking in his native tongue, German.
Oh, that's right.
I love it, yeah. And to bring the funny and also Pennyworth Aftershow, Ben Schnau.
What's up, everybody? Love to being here again, and we have a great guest tonight.
We do. And to his right, you've seen her on Los Spookies and also Pennyworth Aftershow, Anais Lucia.
Hello, everyone. What's up? Oh my gosh, this episode crazy. I actually cried at one point. Can't wait to talk about it. And we have special guests, so we're really excited.
She'll also be bringing us our news and gossip, but we also have an amazing guest. You've seen her tonight. A lot on this episode. We got a lot to talk about. I also seen her in Funny People, Yours, Mine, and Ours, and Sway. Please welcome Miki Ishikawa.
Hello.
How are you?
Yeah, good.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So we got a lot to discuss. There was a lot going on in this episode. I was excited. There was a lot of blood, a lot of gore. I was in it.
I have a lot of questions.
My thing, got a lot of questions.
Lots of like, oh my gosh moment.
Right, you were over there falling off your seat. Like, oh my God. But then we're going to get overall thoughts. What do you think about this episode?
My God. I mean, there were so many different storylines in this episode. I feel I was really trying to focus on one, but I couldn't really, right? And I really liked the interaction that Chester has in the tent with this guy, guy from Japan, right? This Japanese guy. I was like, damn. At the beginning, I was like, is he really obsessed? I couldn't believe him, but then I believed him for a second, but then I felt like no. Because he took a picture, right? And then we realized he's not obsessed, but he knew so much. So that's the question I'm going to answer, hopefully.
What do you think?
Another great episode. I feel like every episode, it's like they introduce like a new element, a new character, and I feel like they do it like so well. Like it's not just like kind of a throwaway. It's never like a throwaway character or something like that. It's like they're like being integrated in the story. So I really like that. We saw a couple new people. Yeah. And lots of like the endings of the show. Like every episode ends with some kind of like what the frick moment. So they succeeded in doing that.
A lot of twists and turns. It was it was hard to predict this episode. They threw some curveballs.
I mean, respect to the makeup artist right here.
Oh
right?
yeah.
I mean, come on. Like, damn.
You go needs a makeover for sure. Woo! Well, Miki, your overall thoughts of tonight's episode, seeing yourself up there, and I want to get just a little bit about your thoughts on you and Ken's relationship and what that means.
I like that up until now you don't really know much about Amy.
Right.
Her backstory is a little kind of kept in the dark right now, and she has she's been kind of quiet. So it's nice that like from here on out we kind of start to see her storyline and see her relations that she has with people in the camp and with Ken and everything like that. So I'm excited for people to see her story.
Nice. Yeah, she is speaking up a lot in this episode.
Right.
Which is awesome. But I want to start off with Luce. So, she lost the babies. And we also learned that she lost her brother. Yeah. So that's just a lot. And so the father comes and from a woman's perspective, going through something like that and the man you love is gone. What do you do? Like, Miki, how can you, like, man, Luce is going through a lot.
Yes.
It's going through a lot. PTSD, just everything. And so what are your thoughts of that character and how she portrayed that?
Well, first of all, shout out to Christina Rodlo, who's a phenomenal actress, and she kills this role. But yeah, I mean, she's lost everything, and it's really gut-wrenching to watch her kind of go through this, but I think she's so just, she's lost. And I think even hearing the news of like losing her brother in the war she's kind of unfazed by it, because she can't even register that, because she's still trying to grieve over her, losing her children, and then also essentially not knowing when or if she's ever going to see Chester again, and this is the first time that her father has kind of re-accepted her back since not accepting her of her, getting pregnant to begin with.
Right.
We are not a show about abstinence. But it's heart-wrenching to watch that, and I think we just have to see, if she can get out of it or not.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add, Anais?
No, I agree. It was so hard for me to like see her just, going through that, and I felt kind of like La Llorona vibes when she was in the dress and everything in the water.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, I completely understand why she's like that. I would, some people might be like, oh, she like get over. No, she's going through a lot. Okay, like all these important men in her life are just some are gone, like passed away, and then the other man is not even there. So let her grieve, let her go through her process.
Right. It's a lot. And we also learned that Yuko gave her a little toy. Ben, what did you think about that?
I mean, what I really liked about this, the writing about this episode is because we see the kids playing in the woods and stuff like that, and all of a sudden they see a woman and they say, "Oh, that's Ghost Woman," and I was like, "Oh," I didn't think about Luz in the first place, which I found very interesting, because they use this metaphor of Ghost Woman even to her now, to Luz, and basically call her the same way that we basically call Yuka the whole time. So at the beginning, I thought, that has to be her, and then realizing it's actually Luz, completely losing herself, seeing her unborn child in the water or something like that. That was crazy for me to see, because it shows me that I think human beings all have different sides, two different sides. It just depends on what you do with them. We all have a good and a bad side in us. And I think you just have to experience the right thing to change the side, if that makes sense, So
I just wanted to add to that, even though she's going through this, horrible time, it was really, I guess nice to see that the two, her actual father and her, maybe father-in-law, actually were, trying to help her and were very sweet to her. Whereas before they weren't.
Right.
And I cried because when Henry went.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you were over there.
When he went over and hugged her, I thought it was just such a beautiful moment. So thank you for that.
It was a great moment.
That's one of my favorite scenes too. I saw a rough cut of it when we were still filming, and I immediately started crying too, just because I think, in general, I think this episode's great because there's so much humanity in it overall, with the different storylines that are happening. Obviously, like Ota and Chester in the tent, and then Luce and Henry, and then even like Ken and Amy. But that scene's great too, because if you kind of notice, you don't know why Henry is running to the gate,
right? And
you see the guards, about to possibly shoot him. So there's that as like, oh, is he running away too? But then to see him, embrace Luce finally, and really, you kind of like, oh my God, that's gut wrenching. But I love that exchange between the two fathers, because there's a unsaid knowing. Of basically, I think the fathers being like, well, thank you so much for taking care of my daughter while she was here, and now I'm going to go take care of her at home, and just like that unspoken kind of trust that's there. And I think that exchange between Luce and Henry when they hug is just like, oh.
I think,
let us know in the comments if
beautiful.
you cried.
He finally accepts her as family, So I can see that.
Out of desperation needs change. So it's like it was nice seeing that change from all the characters.
And even seeing Asako, go through seeing her husband now change from, because he had so many things that he hasn't even said yet that had happened to him. So for her to finally see too, like, oh wow, he's changing, he's opening up his heart, I think was such a relief for her too. Right. Because we haven't seen that, much between them either.
Very true.
Yeah, and I think that was the first time she's witnessed that, which is great too.
Right.
Yeah, looking forward to see more growth from all the characters. But before we move on to our next topic, Anais, why did I say Anais? Anais has a message for you.
Hi everyone. So yes, I just need to clean up my eyes right now, but I just want to thank you all for making AfterBuzz the ESPN of TV talk. We love, sharing, reading your comments. So please, keep on commenting. The more engagement, the more it helps us, reach more people. So yes, if you could, like us on YouTube, subscribe. If you're watching or listening on the Apple Podcast, if you could give us 5 stars, we would really appreciate
5 stars,
it.
thumbs up.
5 thumbs up, as I always say.
Just
Why not?
I just want to thank AfterBuzz, Maria and Keven for creating this opportunity for me and the other hosts to just get more experience and hopefully improve as hosts. And thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys are enjoying the show and keep watching.
Hey, yes.
That's
That's
right.
great.
I want to move on to our next. So, Ota and Chester in the tent. All right. Did you guys think he was possessed in the beginning?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah?
I did, because he
Yeah.
knew too much information about Chester and the
Yes.
family. So I was like, how can you know that? You just come
Yeah.
from war. How
Right.
can you know about that? But then he shot a picture, or he took a picture.
Yeah.
And it was the same guy, because otherwise you would have seen the ghost on the picture, I'm assuming, right? That's the reason why you take a picture,
the
right?
blur, the
yeah,
blur.
exactly.
Yeah.
But there was nothing, and then all of a sudden he became kind of normal.
Right.
That was kind of interesting.
And I did love how they basically bond over baseball. You know,
That's
that was the, like you said, another humanity part of this episode, and they bond over baseball, and then he struck out Lou Gehrig. I think that was crazy how they added that in.
And I love that, because
It was amazing.
what's interesting about that, I mean, I'm from Germany too, obviously, right? But at the end of the day, we're all human beings. And it was a great moment for me, because the guy before said, I'm Japanese. I fight for my country, for Japan.
Yes.
But then out of a sudden, they start talking about baseball, and make me because baseball is a very American thing, and he loves it so much, which shows me, even that you're telling me right now that you're Japanese and you love your country so much, you also like this other thing, which is actually more American kind of. So
Yeah.
we're all pretty much the same people. Just make peace with each other. You know
Right.
what I mean? And it also basically put Chester on the same level with him too, because I mean, Chester, as we learned, was born in the U.S., right? So he's Japanese American or American Japanese.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
Right. It
You know?
really
And
does.
it was a great moment for me, because I feel like after this scene, they just talked out. They were friends and knowing each other for 10 years already. You know?
Yeah, I just feel like it's
So-
something you could kind of apply to, like, and I've experienced too in real life, where there might be somebody and you
Yeah.
don't get along with them right away, but then I feel like eventually, if you just get to know each other,
Yeah.
you'll find some kind of commonality, something you can
I
kind
mean,
of get along
Yeah,
with. But they're not
exactly.
probably not gonna try to like kill you or tell you
Right.
that they're gonna like cut your.
Well, I mean, in general,
Right.
that's why dialogue, I think, is so important.
Exactly.
And like Stephen Hanna wrote this episode, and I think he sprinkled in so many
Right.
great moments of like human moments. Yeah, like
Right.
you said, like they're just two guys who
Right.
ended up being on the other side of the war
Right.
from each other,
Exactly.
but. If they had taken away their titles and their
Right.
soldier name and all, I think they're the same people,
Exactly,
really.
right.
Like
Exactly.
just two dudes, that just
Right.
happen to
People
be.
that have feelings, that love
Yeah.
others, that, yeah.
They're both obligated to serve their countries,
Right.
like they're, like in Japan too,
Right.
at the wartime, you
Right.
had to serve the emperor, and in America, like you had to serve your government.
Right.
Like the, 442 was made up of
Right.
these Nisei men who,
Right.
they felt like they had to prove their loyalty, so they enlisted, and that's how that all came about. But it's
Yeah.
You see,
and
I
then Lily Maria, who directed this episode, she's phenomenal.
Yeah,
Like,
that
she
was
did such
amazing.
a great job at showing just like the flip side from the front half of the episode to the end of it, and you're like, wow, like
Right.
they did bond over baseball, which is so small.
It's
but,
so small, but it's so humane.
But I think Chester saw that moment of like, oh, this is my end. Like I just want to talk to this guy,
Right.
Right.
and show him that he can trust me. And
Exactly, and he wanted, he didn't want to kill him. Like he really didn't want to kill him. He wanted to do everything he could do possibly to make Ota live. But the thing that got me was like when you said he's a dead man walking amongst the living, and biting the ear off, and like. Just all these things that led me to believe, like, okay, Yuko's got something to do with this.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was that was surprising to like see that. And kudos to the actor. I'm not.
Kazuya Tanabe, who plays Ota.
Okay.
That's
Yes,
amazing.
I loved it. I love the
He lost weight
range.
for the role also,
Did
so
he?
it's
Oh,
like
okay.
you can tell it's like
Yeah, he was pretty skinny.
I went the day when they were starting to film that, and I was like, oh my god, because his whole voice just echoed throughout the studio, and it was
Right.
just like, oh crap.
It's such great range. Like it's just
It's great.
it's
No,
amazing.
he did an amazing job.
Yeah, so they definitely got me on that. Definitely got me on that. So towards it was a very short-lived friendship. He wanted to die in honor. Ben, what do you think about when he sliced his gut open like that?
I think he just realized that it's gonna be worse anyway, right? And I think he just wanted to basically finish what he started in a way, because I feel like at the very beginning, what he tried with Chester is he just wanted Chester to kill him, and it wasn't really about Chester or anything. He just wanted to basically have his life taken from him in a way. And I think at the end of the day, he just did it himself pretty much. I think there's no better logic to it. That's what I feel. Or maybe I'm missing a very
I think he wanted to have some kind of control over, like, like if I'm going to go out, I'm going to take care of it myself or
Die
something.
honorably.
I don't know.
Yeah, and that's what Harakiri is, you know, especially for the military, you know, men from Japan. They, you know, if they got caught, you have to kill yourself. That's like you die by honor. It's very Bushido, like samurai mentality. So they'd much rather, you know, die by honor than dishonor. So that's what he wanted. But you know, from that, he obviously got Chester's trust and vice versa, and Chester was able to get that one small detail, which was more than anyone had done at that point. So, you know, he succeeded essentially. But
it's true. And another one, I mean, he said, and then the white man comes, right? Boom. And that's the crazy stuff.
He's like the most.
As always, you know. Damn.
I do want to ask you, how is it working with C. Thomas Howell though? Because I love him since a long time.
Pony Boy.
Since Pony Boy. That was a long time. Outsider, Spider-Man. I mean, it goes on, but
he's phenomenal. He's one of my favorite people on this planet. He was an amazing scene partner. I mean, literally, like, you couldn't ask for a better scene partner. It just felt so organic every time that we worked together. And he gave you 200% each take, and you have to vice versa do the same thing for him, and just like it goes back and forth. It's like playing baseball. It's like you just literally catch ball with each other, and you know but he's incredible. He's great.
Yeah, what a legend. What a legend.
No, I definitely felt honored when I heard that he got casted for as the major, and I was like, this is gonna be great. And then we started working together, and it was way exceeded my expectations of what our relationship had become. So it's great.
Very down to earth, I guess.
He's such a great guy, and you'll see like other things that happens later on. But but he's great, and him and I became really good friends too. So I'm very honored to. Yeah.
And I like your facial expression, your acting in general. I think you did I think you did a great job. Especially the scene when he comes up with the flower and stuff. Like, I think you did a great job, expressing your facial emotions. So, you're showing your emotions by just looking at it. You know what I mean?
Your
Remember
eyes.
that scene? That was great.
I really
like it.
Well, I think in general, when Amy receives the flower, she doesn't really know what to make of it, because it's like, is this a proposition? Like, is it easy coming on to me? Like, whatever, So I think there's a lot that she's questioning, because at the end of the day, like, it's the boss, secretary relationship. So she's trying to do her job, but he's clearly here. So
I mean, that's how it always starts, with the boss and the secretary.
Knows what happened. I know.
People.
What are you saying? Knows what happened in the barracks.
I mean, what happened in the barrack? I'm just doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Speaking of the barracks, let's talk about you and Ken's relationship.
Ken.
All right. The question 27 and 28. Ken's pride. He's not a coward, right? So you go and change the answers. Why'd you do that?
Why you do your move like that?
I know. It is probably upsetting for a lot of people when they see it, because they're like, oh man, why would you change his answers?
I actually went like, I would probably do
But
it too.
I think at the end of the day, like, Ken had his own reasons for why he wanted to, be say no to each question. And actually, everyone should do research on the No Boys in general. There's so many amazing stories that have not been heard yet about that in general, and they're standing up for their own rights. And they were sent off to prison, basically, because it was considered treason. So it's like you were left with really no choice, and saying yes to both 27, 28. A lot of people were also like shunned because of saying that too. So actually, the loyalty question brought a lot of disharmony to families within the camps, because the younger generation, especially the second generation, versus like their parents, so they had a lot of different things that happened, and it's actually really disheartening to read a lot of the things that happened, because it broke families, it broke relationships, it was a lot of things. But I think for Amy, her mentality was that she wanted to protect the people that she loved, even if that meant that they seemed like a coward, but she didn't want him to go off to prison or be faced with that, and or have to do anything else. But and I think it was a hard choice because she knows how much he stood by his morals, but she has her own morals too, and she was just, you know, she loves him and she was trying to protect him, and I think they didn't obviously see eye to eye, unfortunately, but you know, hopefully it comes around.
Right.
I mean, I'm very interested in that because, I mean, from your personal perspective, what does that show mean to you, especially like someone having Japanese like heritage?
Yeah.
Well, but you were born and raised in the U.S., I'm assuming,
I
right?
was.
So, but let's say your family, when you did, when you heard, oh my God, I'm gonna do the show. What did you talk about in your family and your circle, you know, like community?
Yeah, I mean, well, in general, like, you know, I had a lot of similarities with Amy and myself already, just because I am second generation. Amy was second generation.
Oh, wow.
So just growing up in general, like knowing, like, if you're a child of, you know, immigrant parents, you do have a lot of things that you kind of have to grow up and, you know, kind of realize on your own, or realize like I have different views than my parents do,
Right.
or other things, and you know, we're trying to adopt the American mentality also. So I think there's a lot of that Amy was, you know, trying to understand. So even though she was very American, she's still trying to abide by like her Japanese parents and their traditional views and everything like that too. So
Right.
yeah, it was interesting to kind of see a lot of the parallels that I had with her, as far as just like, you know, just traditional things of like.
And did you feel the same thing? Let's say you were born and raised in the U.S., so at some point as a kid, let's say, that you also felt, oh my God, I'm a little different because my family obviously comes from a different country originally, so I maybe behave a little different than the kids that I'm basically around myself with every day.
Yeah. Oh,
did you feel that the same?
Definitely.
That was like, how
Definitely.
was that for you as,
I mean,
as a
oh
kid?
gosh,
you
so
know?
many examples.
We have time.
No, but I think small things, like, you know, Japanese people in general, I think pretty quiet.
Right.
They don't like to, you know, shake the waters, so to you know, per se. But yeah, a lot of things, like, so we hold our tongue about a lot of stuff, and I think those are the type of things that are very against almost American kind of viewpoints, you know. I think we Americans like to say things, and we do speak up. So there's, I think, a time and place for those things, but time and place also to kind of be like, I'm gonna hold my tongue right now, and when the time is right, you know. So I think Japanese people are a little more calculated in that sense. So just, I mean, yeah, I could, a lot of different things, you know, that are so different. So yeah, growing up, I had to a lot of times be like, I don't think this way. Then be like, you know, about like how my parents would say something about something. And
Right.
I'm like, no, I don't think so. And I'm like, well, there's no point in me like being all boisterous about it. And be like, well, I guess I can save it for later or something, you know?
Yeah, why not?
So, yeah,
I
save
got
it.
it.
So I don't know. There's so many different examples, but I think it's common for a lot of different children
Different
of
children,
immigrants, you know, in general.
I do like the choice that Amy made. I feel like Ken was being a little selfish about the situation, because overall, like, do you want to stay with Amy or do you want to ship away? Like, it's just really like either or.
Well, actually, in the script too, it was a little bit longer, but you know, she was like, they're going to take you away from not just me, but your family, your friends.
Everything.
You're going to be completely segregated into another area. So I think she understood the bigger picture of everything, because one, she also works for the guy who runs the camp.
Exactly.
So she knows the ins and outs of seeing the reports and seeing everything that came in. So she was just looking out for all those things, you know. But
no, exactly. I definitely. And then he said, you don't want the man that says yes to those questions.
Right.
So, to you, Anais, what did you think when he said that? Like, what do you think he was trying to tell Amy at that moment?
I think he probably felt like he wasn't a man or something, and I think for a lot of guys that's very important. They need to feel masculine in the relationship or just in general. So I feel like, you know, when a guy doesn't feel that way, he probably feels like he's not good enough for the woman that they love or whatever. So that's kind of what I got from it. That made he felt like he wasn't good enough for her. So it's like you don't want to be with a guy like that. You need to be with, you know, someone who's not a coward. You know?
And it's interesting because it's not easy to think about it for yourself, because at the end of the day, I think he felt like, oh my God, I don't want to lie to myself.
Right.
I was born in this country, so I have the same rights. You know, just because I have like, you know, I'm half Japanese or have like Japanese heritage doesn't mean that I don't have the same rights. And coming back to the point, we're all human beings at the end of the day, right? But then also like making a decision like, oh my God, I want to fight for who I am, but I love this girl.
But I love her, my family, my friends.
Of course. I get. I mean, at the end of the day, I probably would have gone with my girlfriend and with the family too, obviously. You know, I have to be honest, guys. But
It's a tough choice.
It is
Still a tough choice.
It's a
though,
definitely
you
tough
know,
choice.
it's about moral and ethic, and you know, there's so much stuff that goes into your mind.
It's no black and white with that.
Yeah, it's pretty
No,
tough.
and a lot of people go through similar things now, you know, in our current state. But can you imagine, like, back then, that was what you were being asked?
Yeah.
There's a lot writing on that. It wasn't just a simple, like, oh,
There's a
yeah,
lot.
you know, that's it.
Yeah, that's why they took a while to answer those questionnaires.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
they're like, why aren't they like done with them? It's
Even
like,
now, sometimes some of these questionnaires are like,
No, but it's the same thing. I mean, for me, for example, I was born and raised in Germany, right? So the same thing. I mean, at the beginning when I grew up, at some point, you know, you face my history, or you face that. They basically show that to us. So at some point as a teenager, I was like, I mean, maybe I shouldn't really say that I'm German. You know, maybe it's not a good thing to do, right? But now it's like, come on, I'm the next generation. You know, that doesn't mean anything because I love my history and my background. You know, just because I'm German, but it doesn't mean I love all the things they did.
Right.
But if you think about classical music, that is a great part of German history. You know what I mean?
You own that much, right?
But then they always just think about
the hamburger.
But I
That's
want to
true,
get to
I think.
the end
That's true.
part of it, because so we find out that one of the soldiers is actually possessed, Yuko.
All right.
She's in the bag. She comes out.
Oh my gosh. First of all, can I just say that joint cracking
Yeah,
sound
the joint
effect?
cracking. I mean, it's getting settled in the body. You know, the
It's
new
like,
host.
every time I hear it, I'm like, oh
A
god.
new hope.
The new host is getting settled. Okay, the spirit's got to get settled.
Is that how you do it?
Well, you gotta start with the neck. It's the crack.
Right.
It's we always did, like, oh, you gotta do the Yuko.
Oh, you did that on set? Like,
No, we
joke?
would
Like-
always joke and be like, we gotta do the Yuko.
Nice.
No, but that was they hired a contortionist to
Nice.
perform that out of.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it wasn't Kiki. I should actually say that it was her. Actually, she should get the credit for it.
Right.
But no, and the Lily had a background in dance, so she
Nice.
choreographed that whole. Crazy
That's
thing.
awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
but like when someone first showed me the thing of like a video clip of that, I was like, oh my god! That's disgusting. So every time I still watch it, I'm like, oh my god, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's like the bones cracking and just the way she flips around.
Right.
It's disgusting.
That is crazy.
I think they totally did that
They did
right by
awesome.
doing it. Yeah.
Like if I saw that
Yeah.
like somewhere, I
Oh my god, if you saw that in real life,
And the face, everything. It's like I was watching Silent Hill or something.
Sorry, I
But-
interrupted you.
It's just like Silent
That's
Hill.
what I
right?
played.
Arthur. So Arthur gets possessed. He has Chester by
Yeah.
gunpoint. They crash, and then at the end we hear Taiso, which we don't know what that is yet. It's a name or something or another, but we'll find out soon.
Yeah.
It is the name of the next episode.
Yes.
So
There we go. So hopefully
leave
we'll
it
find
at
out.
that.
We'll find a
I'll
lot.
leave it at that.
Out a lot more. Wow. But yeah, I liked how it ended. It left us wanting more. Everything.
it was a
And
great
the trailer and the preview for next episode looks awesome.
Right.
But any last thoughts, real quick, on the episode?
I think it was great. I think that was basically, for me personally, one of the best episodes so far. Because maybe a lot of questions got answered too a little bit more now. So because I always like, oh my god, why?
Bro.
Yeah, I know,
Shit,
exactly.
I want to know. So you know, it's like Son Goku back in the day. They Dragon Ball Z, the same thing.
yeah.
Damn, I was like, why did you stop here?
Right.
But yeah, I really liked it. And I
Awesome.
feel like now we really realize the whole constellation between those different people. I feel even more.
Yeah.
That's what I feel.
Halfway
you know?
through.
Yeah.
Halfway through the season.
Pretty much.
I know, crazy.
It is, right? It's crazy. So we're gonna get into just a little part of just talking with you as an actress, okay? So what does this show mean to you, being Japanese American and having, I mean, diversity is amazing right now. Yes, let's give a round of applause for that one. In Hollywood.
Yeah.
So how does that, thank you. It deserves one. So what does this mean for you?
I actually like the term representation better,
Yes,
personally.
that's fine.
But I think it's one thing that I was so proud of to be a part of the show was that our showrunner Alex Wu, he's Chinese American, but he was so adamant about all of the cast members being of Japanese descent, and it was like written on the breakdowns, it was
Nice.
everything, and that made you feel even more proud to be reading for something like this, because that means more, especially because it's a historical background. you know, and it's something that's happened. So we're, you know, trying to shed light on a subject matter that hasn't really been talked about, but also just, you know, show these stories of these people on screen.
Right.
And I think that just made you feel more honored, and, you know, like, we have to do a good job at, you know, doing this character or whatever it was. But yeah, I feel it's a great time. I think things are, you know, getting better.
Of course.
I just wanted to talk about that. I mean, how do you feel about like stereotyping or something like that? You know, like typecast and stuff like that. What is your experience with that?
I started acting when I was 11.
Oh, wow.
So things have changed significantly.
Yes, very much so.
We still have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
But I think everything is, you know, moving in the right direction because people are at least a little more, you know, understanding about things and willing to learn about different things now. But yeah, like back in the day, how normal was it to see movies or TV shows with like the Asian character was like the super smart, I don't know, geek, or the super stoner friend, or the sidekick, or just the girl who couldn't speak English well. It's just something so terribly stereotyped. Which maybe there are those people, but that's not everybody, and it's not a majority of people. So I think now, you know, there are better roles, and there are things that are more specific that you're just like, oh, that's a real person that I would know, or that you would know. So I think it's definitely moving in the right direction. You know,
I feel the same.
It's happy to. I'm very happy to see everything, you know, happening in general.
Yeah, feel the same.
Likewise.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah.
We ask because I thought you might ask about this, but we kind of like to get the people's you know the audition process.
Yes.
What you have to do.
Oh yeah, that was my next question.
Show.
Yeah, that'll be our last question for him.
I actually read for a different role in the beginning. I actually read for Yuko.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow, I can see that.
You're gonna Yuko that?
No. And it scared me because it's my god, that's
amazing.
a challenging character.
It is.
Yes.
And Kiki Skazana kills that
Yeah, she
character, like
does.
embodies Yuko.
Right.
So right after that, though, I had read it, and then they were like, actually, can you come back in and read for Amy? And then I hadn't read for that character, or the breakdown for again, and I saw her character description. I was like, oh, this is me. I was like, I can identify with this character to a T. And I already saw the trajectory of like where she was going to end up, you know, how she was going to be, and I felt so many different similarities with her on a human level. So I was like, I need to bring this character to life.
Right.
So I just went through that whole process, and then it was about a year ago now that you know, was going through like the auditions and callbacks and producers, and I went through 100 different things.
But you had to read with a reader or with an actor already who was already cast?
None of us knew who was cast yet.
Oh, okay, wow.
Yeah. No, I mean, I didn't have to do a chemistry read with anybody, thankfully, but so, you know, so that was nice.
And you almost worked with Kiki on 2 other projects, right? And then
we almost did. So that was the only person I knew that had been cast, because we didn't know each other yet. As far as like who was announced, and then we all got the first script, and we started seeing the names, and I was like, oh, Kiki. I was like, and so I text her, and I was like, and she was like, oh, are you playing Amy? And we were like, oh my god, at least we know each other. Because elsewise, no one knew each other. No one knew anybody from anything.
That's
so we all,
funny.
you know, had to go up to Vancouver.
Which I like, to be honest. I always like that.
It was all new so it was like, you know, it's like when you're first meeting somebody, it's like first date.
I like that sometimes better, to be frankly.
And then, I mean, thankfully, you know, everyone's amazing cast-wise on the show. We all genuinely became a family. I know that sounds very cliche, but that made it, you know, so much better for working conditions. Just because the subject matter was so heavy, the climate was crazy while we were there. So, you know, thankfully we all got along very well.
Speaking of family, what was one of the your favorite memories on set?
That's a hard question. I can't. Oh my god. Definitely anytime George was around.
Yes.
Because George is he's such a shining beacon of light that he's just, I love George to pieces. He's literally one of the best human beings I've ever met in my life. I don't know. There's a lot. There's so many. Every day, honestly, every day was such a joy to go to work. It didn't feel like work. It was just like, we're here doing this, you know.
Right.
That's awesome.
We're just like,
How many days did you have, by the way, on set? How many shoot days did you?
It was like months, not days.
We were there we shot from January to May.
Right.
Nice.
So, and you know, and that's the thing, right? There's so many different storylines happening. So sometimes some person would be working every day. Some person sometimes would be off for a while. So we had different times together on set. So it was great every time we had an actual scene that we're all together, because we actually were, unfortunately, Kiki was really by herself a lot.
Yeah.
She does a lot of the Yuko stuff that happens,
Right,
so,
right.
And then the rest of us were together, and
But it means you didn't spend 5 months in Vancouver, for example.
No,
like,
we
you
all
know.
did. We all
you
lived
all
there.
did? Oh,
We all
really?
lived there.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we all had the apartment
Oh,
up,
wow.
and we all lived there.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Wow.
Location. No,
Yeah, it was,
Exactly.
yeah.
Canada's huge right now, like Georgia and
Yes.
Canada, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, Vancouver
Yeah.
is great. There's a lot of work up in
Yeah.
Vancouver because you can cheat many places. Because we were taking place
Yeah.
in Southern California and in Oregon,
Right.
so you would never know.
Yeah.
If you,
I mean, you can make Vancouver look like New York City, right? In a way.
more
Kind of.
Toronto.
Right.
Toronto is used
Oh, yeah.
for.
Toronto
Okay.
is a city.
Yeah, Toronto
that's
you
a
use
big one.
for New York.
Okay,
but,
forget
yeah.
what I said. It's okay.
It's like,
But
come
Vancouver is
on,
everywhere
Ben. No.
else.
Get with it.
I'm a foreigner.
So, without giving anything away, obviously, what can we expect from Amy moving forward in these next couple episodes?
Oh man, I don't want to say anything.
Or what can we expect from
Some
you?
strength.
Yeah, no, honestly, I think people will be pretty happy to see her storyline.
Nice.
There's a lot. I hope everyone roots for her. There's a lot of things that happens in different relations and stuff like that. That we're moving forward. But I think it's great because you just really see her start to find her own voice.
Right.
Yeah.
Throughout the
Awesome.
season, so I'm excited for people to see that. I'm curious to see what people will say.
Right.
Cool. And what's going on with you? Anything up and coming?
I just did a guest star on NCIS LA.
Nice.
So,
Congratulations.
Thanks. So
Awesome.
that'll come out,
Nice.
I think, in a couple weeks.
Awesome.
And then I'm developing a TV show right now with actually Lee Shorten, who plays my brother Walt on the
Ooh,
show.
Oh,
So
that's
we're doing that right
nice.
now. So we're just we're writing away and doing all of that.
Awesome.
So keeping busy,
That's
Wow.
awesome.
That's
what I
great.
love about this town.
That's awesome.
Seriously.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
have
exactly.
to make what you know.
Make what you know,
Thank you.
and
So-
who you
Exact-
know, make it with.
There's so many stories,
It's true.
that
Yeah.
people
So
need
true.
to, and that's all you can
Yeah.
tell is like your own story.
So true.
So.
And you can't
Yeah.
really wait that people
People
are coming
relate
to
it.
you every time. You
Yeah.
know, you have
And-
to put it out there
And
yourself.
Oh, yeah.
the climate that we live in now, I mean, there's Netflix, there's
Yeah.
Hulu,
Yeah, right.
there's
so many
so many
opportunities.
platforms.
Right.
So it's like there's an opportunity for everything.
Exactly.
Really,
Yes.
And
Well, thank you so much
Yeah.
for this opportunity and coming
Thank you for
aboard
having
and
me.
joining us on this show. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. It's been awesome. Episode 5, Shatter Like a Pearl. We'll be here next week. Go ahead and see us out, Jen.
Okay, thank you everybody for joining us today. You can find me on Instagram. It's at Benjamin Schnau, right? SCHNAU. Think about
Right.
the dog. I love that too. It's the same on Facebook. And I also do the show Pennyworth on Sunday, 7 p.m. I do Bring the Funny on Tuesday. And before I do The Dark, the German show on Netflix in German for you guys. Check it out.
You can find me on Instagram at More Than You Think 7.
Go ahead and all you-
Trying to keep it short.
Where can we
my
find you?
Instagram is Mickey Mouse, MIKIMOU5E.
I love that, by the way.
That's awesome. That's so awesome.
And you can find me everywhere at I am Danny Royce. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you next week, same place, same time.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for watching.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.